Hey guys, let's do another San Antonio Tech Dad podcast. What do you guys say?
I'm all for
Sure,
it.
why not?
All right. It sounds good. Hey everybody, I'm Alan. We're doing a San Antonio Tech Dad podcast. It's where we a bunch of nerdy guys from San Antonio get around and talk about parenting and family and technology and all that fun stuff. My name's Alan, and I'm here with Corey and Drew. How you guys doing?
Well,
Not too shabby. Not too shabby.
All right. Well, I like to hear that. I like to hear that a lot. So yeah, how's everybody's week been?
Not over yet. It's been a very long week, and it's only Wednesday. So just work's been busy. Yeah, work's been busy. Just trying to hammer out as many at the beginning of the week, and yeah, looking forward to this lovely weekend.
Yeah, I think we all are.
yes.
Drew, how about you? How's your week been going?
My week has been busy as well. I have a big trip coming up next week with the whole family, and so as of today, this is the 1 week mark. So all necessary to be completed tasks continue to compress into a continuingly shrinking section of time. So my week has been busy. Luckily, I had a less than busy day today, so that has been a blessing. But the rest of the week has been pretty full, and looking at the rest of the schedule and requirements and hours, it's going to be a tight 7 days.
Yeah. Well, I'm kind of interested to hear a little bit more about some of the things you're doing to get prepped for the for the trip. I mean, this is an international trip. You're gonna be gone for a while, and are there any things that you're running across that are, that you need to work on, that you need to?
So part of our intrigue is that we're going to the Pacific Northwest, but mainly the Canadian component of the Pacific Northwest. Part of our itinerary and the direction we're going to take, as well, all of it, we couldn't get to and from an island without crossing some water, and we're flying into Seattle, so that will be necessary. But we're going to have to take a handful of ferries, and those aren't as always open as bridges. So that creates some additional logistical wrinkles that we have to sort out. And there's almost an unlimited number of places to go, things to do, people to see when there. So I have a handful of friends in Seattle proper. I have a handful of friends scattered throughout the area. We have family on Vancouver Island. There's plenty of coffee things that I would love to do in both Vancouver and Seattle. But there are also a lot of requirements if we want to make it to and from expeditiously. We've tried to spread out, kind of hotels. We're not staying in the same place. Hold on. Yes, we will not sleep in the same bed twice in the week of next week. Starting Monday, we'll sleep in our bed Monday and in a different bed every night moving forward for a week. So the logistics around that, you actually have to get on a handful of boats to make that possible. Those boats don't run all the time. So that's going to limit what we're actually able to do. There's a couple of really exciting things that we're looking forward to doing. I've actually integrated Instagram a little bit into my my searches for places to go and cool things to do. I've found a couple of handles that are based out of the area. I've found some that are like tourism boards and some that are people who like to explore in those areas. And so I've been using their feeds to they'll drop geopins into where they've taken pictures, and we've populated a bit of our route through some pretty cool things that they have posted. So using social media to populate my my itinerary has been kind of fun, and I intend to do a lot of on the fly population as well when it comes to restaurants and things like that, which is something that I've done on plenty of other trips. But I guess I've never found a reason or a way to make Instagram part of my my approach, and it lends itself nicely to that because we're going to be doing a lot of outdoorsy, in nature kind of things, and there's a lot of beautiful outdoor activities to be had, and finding things like giant trestles that go across gorges that are for old converted from old railroad trestles to hiking and biking, and river gorges that have beautiful waterfalls if you'll just take a specific trail and things like that that I might not find through the TripAdvisors, etc. I am able to find because expeditious people are posting their pictures and their wonderful finds on this platform. So it's been kind of an interesting build-up.
That's an interesting way to use Instagram. That is not what I was expecting at all. To have that using it for a TripAdvisor, right? Like,
It's
hey,
like reverse engineering, I like it. Yeah.
exactly. That's kind of cool, actually. It's a really good idea. Now I have to plan my vacations around Instagram, so that's gonna happen.
So usually people are posting things that are aesthetically pleasing, and usually when I'm hiking, the journey is exciting, but there's usually a couple of destinations. Like I'm going to go on this trail because an example. So I'm going to be on Vancouver Island, and there's a place called Cathedral Grove, and it's an old growth redwood forest with enormous trees, similar to what you'd find just over the Golden Gate Bridge in Marin County, and there's a couple of other little pockets. Redwood Forest near Yosemite is one of those, but it's this gorgeous, incredible stand of redwoods that are just breathtaking and put you in your place, and it's something that we know about because we've got family that live up there, but also the kind of thing that shows up pretty consistently when someone is there. They want to document the impact that had on them, and a picture is probably a limited way to do that, but it's a way for us to attempt to put some framework and structure around our memories. And so those types of places end up in Instagram pretty consistently. That's a more famous one that I already happen to know about. So I can go look for that and then see other things that those people who posted that did in and around that area or kind of in that time series. And so that can give me an idea of, okay, if I'm in that area, there are a few other things, and if they geolocate them, then it's much easier to find. And so I'm keeping notes on places and users and activities that I want to add into my process. And so yeah, I wouldn't have originally thought of it, but the way Instagram works with the human psyche, it kind of lends itself to those big monumental spots you can get to, beautiful overlooking a bay, or like at the top of an overlook, the end of a trail. And so I intend to continue to monitor some of those and maybe edit where we're going to go. We're going to have kids in car seats for long stretches, so we intend to break that up as much as possible and have them out and running around. And I think that's going to be much easier to do with a more densely populated map with actual pictures of what might be just on the other end of that trail.
Most definitely.
I like that strategy a lot. I don't remember off the top of my head. Does the Instagram app have a map feature? Does it actually show like a map of photos, or is it?
So you have the user's ID. So at whatever.
Yeah.
For me, it's at Drewcox SA. And then if you geolocate a picture, then it will drop a pin, and that will be right beneath the picture, right beneath your handle, and then there'll be the picture, and then there'll be whatever stuff you want to say about it. And so hashtags are really convenient ways of searching broadly, and then you can find additional hashtags to really tighten your search around a specific area. So I know a few of the places where I'll be spending the night, and so I can put in hashtags similar to that, find pictures that are in the area, go to the pin, find the actual very, very specific location of that picture. I've typically left the geo feature off on my phone. I've never really thought of it as being useful in that way, but I'm glad that other people decided to use it because I've found it very useful in the planning process for this trip.
Yeah, so it does have a map. I mean, it's impossible
Oh.
to see, but there we go. Yeah, it does have a map.
Look at
It's just
that.
kind of I haven't been anywhere, so it doesn't look like there's anything.
You
But
fix
you
that,
can
Alan.
yeah,
go
but
places,
yeah,
Alan. Go places.
I do.
Go
Well,
places.
I'll put it this way: I have not taken pictures and tagged them anywhere,
Oh.
except for a
That's
few
fair.
places. Yeah.
Now I'm curious. I take a lot of pictures of food, so I want to see
Right.
what like my food map is of all the places that I've
Well,
eaten.
Well, that's the beauty of this
That's
system, right? I mean, because people take pictures of different things, and you find somebody that takes pictures of gorgeous food all the time. Oh, hey, yeah, let's see where this person eats. Oh, they eat here a lot. That's a pretty good indicator that that's going to be a good restaurant.
there's actually a restaurant in Tofino, which is on the Pacific Coast, that my wife and I ate the last time we were there, and had one of the best fish tacos of my life. And I know it's a Canadian fish taco. Think of it as you will, but it's
That's a
Pacific
thing.
Coast, so super super fresh fish. They had a blue corn tortilla, and it had the most amazing fruit salad I've ever had on top of it. So like kiwi and blackberry and pineapple. Like yes, you're looking at me with that specific face, and I deserve it because you've not tried this, and I thought, I don't know how this is gonna go. So good. Cilantro and citrus with all of those sweet uh, berry flavors on top of a pretty salty but kind of lemon pepper fish. So not your San Antonio fish taco, not your The Cove um, or even like a Torchy's or something like that. Like it's its own unique thing, but anytime that you bring delicious ingredients together with a purpose, I'm gonna at least hear you out. In this case, I tried it, and it was amazing. All the ingredients were fantastic, but they came together really nicely, and in a way that was surprising. And I really enjoy that kind of thing. The creativity around constructing something new and novel out of old and existing components. Old isn't bad, but novel approaches to existing things always tend to get my attention. And yeah, this taco was amazing. So I found other pictures of that same taco. So I know it's still on the menu, and we're stoked because we're going back and we're going to get that taco again. And there's certainly other things that we want to try, but it gives you a different perspective on the where should I eat conversation than going to Yelp. Yelp, you're going to get, the service was like this, and you should talk to, if you go ask for this waiter, this bartender's really good, that kind of stuff. You get all of that service side information that isn't really going to be available on Instagram, but the quality of pictures and the prevalence of specific dishes in Instagram colors that
Okay.
conversation in a different way. And
Interesting.
so it's kind of useful. I'm evolving the way I think about using Instagram just based on the way we're approaching this trip.
I love it. I love it. Well, hey, we found another tool that I think is great for kind of curating trips, and I think that this could be a tool that I will use on the next trip that I go on with my family. It's called Spaces from Google. They actually just launched it. What was that? A day ago? 2 days ago? Very
It wasn't
very
long
recently.
before today.
Yeah,
Lots of announcements today,
Yeah.
but it's not been up
Well,
for very long.
and so the reason that they launched it when they did is, right now Google I/O, it's their developer conference. They're big, and really it's a consumer and developer conference for Google. But they've got so many new products and features and design elements and everything going out right now that they wanted to create a new application that would help organize these ideas, right? And so
Okay.
the concept is, I look at it like this. It is a blend of Pinterest and Slack. And so you basically have a space where you say, in this space, we are going to be thinking about show topics for San Antonio Tech Dad, or places that we want to go and visit during our trip to wherever we're going. You can collaborate with individuals. It's really meant for small groups, definitely not for a mass audience. But you would say, hey, everybody in my family, we're going to go, and we're going to go to Kansas City and St. Louis this month. And so let's go ahead and put down all the places we want to go. And so not only can you put things on a board like you would in Pinterest, right, but it is an opportunity to also comment on those in line with the individual pieces. So I have a couple tools for that, right? You can, on Android and iOS, there's an application, and it actually includes a Google search tool with it. So as you type in, I would like to find kid-friendly restaurants in the St. Louis suburbs, they find those, and then you can stick those onto your space. But then you can also find them directly on in the browser on the desktop and use a plugin to put them right into this. And I like that it's you can comment on it as well. So it looks like we have a really good opportunity to collaborate and to get other people's input. I'm personally thinking maybe not so much for my immediate family, but for my extended family. If we're going to go and meet up somewhere, it's a great way for people to asynchronously just throw a whole bunch of ideas together, get some ideas, bounce them off each other, and then have those ready to go. You guys,
what's the difference in spaces and just a circle in Google Plus? Seems like a pretty derivative product.
That's a good question. I think it is very derivative of Google Plus, right? So I think that it has some of that same pedigree. I think that number one, it does not have the Google Plus name on it, and right now,
Okay.
honestly, that is a toxic asset, right? It is not good. I think these are a little bit more customizable, and these are a little bit more limited in the scope, right? So Google Plus had a lot of different features on there. It included the really a very, very good photo sharing set of features. It had messaging included in it. It had the very tool that we're using to talk right now. It had the Hangouts included in it, right? And so this is very streamlined down. It is share a link, share a photo, share a text block with somebody, and then comment on it. So it's very, very much more streamlined down. And then this is really easy to share with anybody. There's no requirement for Google, as best I can tell. I think you might need to log in with a Google email address. I'll take that back. But
Yeah, you do.
it's not as integrated as like Google Plus was. So I think it's a lot less confusing. I think it's a little bit easier for people to just jump right in and start sharing.
So do you think that Google Plus may have been over-featured when
That's
it was
a great
launched?
question.
Because they really seem to have taken a bunch of the features that Google Plus did really well and broken them out into standalone components. Google Photos is fantastic, was a pretty integral piece of Google Plus. Hangouts is fantastic, was more of a central component of that environment. Now we're seeing Spaces, which is that you can really dial in the group of people who have access and get very rich media involved in your planning process. Again, another very, very similar to Circles. Do you think had they gone about it the other way and launched a bunch of small components and gradually brought them together, that Google Plus would have had a different fate?
Yeah, well, I think that there's a couple of things going on. Number one, Larry Page or Sergey Brin, one of the two of them, I think it's Larry Page, decided, hey, we are going to do social this year. And they said your entire bonus structure for this year is based on how well people adopt social, right? And so they said, they called their shot and said, do social and go. And so I think
Is Alan gone?
I think he was. I'm waiting patiently. I'm like, is he coming? Did he stop?
Well, he's frozen. Okay, we'll let him sort that all out as he as he sorts his internet connection or whatever the case may be out.
Too funny.
I wonder if the Google social push is going to include things like YouTube that are potentially part of that social framework now that they've, you know, forced you to be a little bit less anonymous with your commenting and things along those lines. I guess you could make the argument that that's a social platform.
You could, but so that's one of the things that I feel Google has always fell flat on, right? Do you remember Google Wave?
Yeah.
So Google Wave was supposed to be that huge, everybody's thought process and what, their collaboration and when it was crossing over, and it was almost like a metric of how it was all happening, and that blew my mind. I was using it. I had a large group of people and we were trying to use it, but it was just so difficult and to learn or to like get people to understand. Like it fell off the wagon completely. And then they gave us, Google Hangouts, which is great. Basically takes over the place of Skype and social video and conferencing. And then they gave us Google Plus, which everybody was like, we don't really know what to do with this. This is really just a place that I would deposit my other stuff. So, Oh, hello.
Hi, guys. I told you how much I love Google and their products. They are so great. I don't know what happened there.
Yeah, that's
I don't know. Maybe you had to talk to Time Warner or something.
Somebody. That was nuts.
Well, welcome back, the Alan of the Google. We were just discussing Google Wave and the social piece that fell flat completely on, and the history of Google trying to do social networking and I'm going to say constant failures because they've destroyed a lot of these things.
Well, I just don't think they had it in their DNA to do that. I think that if they would have gone this more organic route, let's pull these pieces in together. Like the Photos application could have been, its own thing, and that would have been great. So, I don't know. It is what it is. So, but yeah. I hope that they can. I hope that they find something that stick around, and I hope that this does not go the way of the Wave or the Google Reader or all those other things.
Oh, don't bring up Google Reader.
That's really well. I'm hoping that this is what I don't want this to be. I don't want this to be a glorified internet link Dropbox. Like I don't want it to be a URL Dropbox, but people are just like, I just throw a bunch of stuff in there. We lose it. Nobody knows where it's at. Because Pinterest is very organized and with multiple boards and the way that you can share and all that other stuff. Google, we'll see. I'll try it.
I mean, I really think that once you're talking about structuring Google Spaces in a way that's logical, I think you really start talking about it becoming Google Plus. Google Plus already exists, and you can do everything that you can do with Google Spaces with a circle in Google Plus, and
this is all assuming that Google Plus sticks around.
That's a thing. They could totally just be done and say, "Hey, we're going to axe it like we did Wave and everything else." And
I could see it getting axed. I could see them waiting a little while, and then I can see them building features on top of Spaces.
Yep.
And it being the same thing, but without
I think that Google Plus can live on as like an identity management, as like a profile, right? And it is your social profile according to Google. It is your authentication layer. It is your profile. It links in together some of the different profile pieces that you have, and can kind of act as that layer. Now Google also launched an additional 2 different chat applications, right? So they have a real-time chat client that is called Allo. And that is it looks pretty.
What's different from that and Google Hangouts Chat Edition?
So that's the thing, right? I mean, so it uses a different underlying protocol. It is completely cross-platform, and it should be more available to work with other platforms. That's kind of the premise there. They have another thing called Duo, which is very much like the individual, like one-on-one or a FaceTime equivalent, right? But this one is.
What's the difference between that and what we're doing right now?
Exactly. So here's my thought. I think that they are kind of starting to disband some of these Google Plus features, and they might even just drop most of it, because what we're doing right now is available as a YouTube.
Yes, live, YouTube Live.
YouTube Live, right? It's available there. So I
but YouTube Live doesn't bring together multiple streams.
I think it's starting to, right?
Locations. But you still have to have gear to make that happen.
The Hangout. You can actually launch the Hangout from YouTube Live. So that's one of the things they have. So basically, they're going to use that same technology, but that will be wrapped into
This is a Hangout on Air, which is different than a Hangout.
Exactly. And so that's what I'm thinking is they're starting to sunset some of these. I think that they have a better underlying platform for chat and for text and for video chat, right? I think that
Yeah.
it is. So these are all also end-to-end encrypted. So they have like an incognito mode for those chats. So that's a very, very key differentiator than the existing Hangouts platform.
What's the point in branding it when you could just add features to your existing brands that are doing the basic function
No,
already?
that's a great question, and I really don't know.
I think that what Google needs to start doing with all of this, with all the networking and the live, and just they first need to get rid of all the deduplication, all the overlapping right now. They need to just say this platform does this and this platform does that, rather than this
Yeah.
platform does this and also what this platform does, it does this, but that also does it. Like you have options, but nobody wants that many options. Nobody needs that many options. It's the
So
social networking piece. You use Facebook, you use Twitter, you use Instagram.
yeah,
That's it. So, and they all have different caveats. So,
one of the big
Yeah,
corporate
is anybody still
criticisms.
using Meerkat?
Yeah, no,
no,
no, that's
that
gone.
was
I heard
years
they're
ago.
pivoting into something, but yeah. Well, that's the thing is they have it's that network. Like I am on Facebook because everybody's on Facebook, and if I want to talk to anybody who is part of everybody, then I have to be on Facebook.
Because the social gravity is
Right?
huge there.
Yeah,
They have a
exactly.
giant market share, and that's where
Yep.
people are. You can't be social by yourself.
Yeah. So it's one of those things where I wonder if they would not have, if Google would not have said, we are going to do social, and you're going to do social, or you're not going to get your Christmas bonus this year. If they wouldn't have said that, what would it have looked like? Each of these individual things, these all came from Googlers, right? It's not like people were, didn't have any, it's not like these ideas didn't exist before Google Plus. These ideas did, but they might have grown up individually, and then, maybe maybe they wouldn't have been used together. Or in the grand spirit of Google, everything's a beta, right?
Yeah.
And so I mean, like, hey, let's see how this works. And these things were very popular. These other things were not. Photos are still going very strong and continue to improve. The messaging component, whatever you want to call it, was very successful. So maybe that's what it is. Maybe they just said, hey, now we need to look at how are we going to, evolve this. Do we, and they are a very successful company. So they, if they want to sunset something, they probably have a pretty good idea of why they want to do that.
So what the question that this begins to beg for me, and I think that the answer is it's too soon to tell, but is this indicative of lack of innovation? A lot of what they're doing is derivative. I mean, we talked about a lot of components that are derivative of their products, and then there's Google Home that just came out that's derivative of Alexa and the whole
But
Amazon
Alexa is
Echo
derivative
product.
of Google Now
Oh, Siri.
and Siri, and Siri
I
was
mean,
great before Apple
sure.
incorporated. I mean, it was
Sure,
they're
but
all
a lot
derivative,
of
but
things that have been launched in this last round of Google I/O is extremely derivative of not only other products out there, but of their own products.
Yep.
So, is this
well, the
indicative
Allo,
of a larger theme of lack of innovation and more just
no,
honing and parsing out of existing technology? And where do we look for the next innovation? Or is this just a maturing phase of their product set, and they're going to need to find what the next step is?
yeah, so I don't know if it's a lack of innovation. I think that it is a refinement of additional of innovation. So the two
That
different
sounds like maturing and not innovation.
right. The two different pieces that they debuted for chat, right? So video and text chat. That actually came from another company that they acquired. It escapes me off the top of my head, but they acquired them recently. So like they are incorporating this technology into them. So somebody else was doing this innovation, they acquired them. I think the other thing that happens is, and this is a big corporate criticism of Google, is that the people who work at Google, they don't. They're all innovators, right? And they're always trying to build something, and they're either trying to improve what they already have or completely build something new, right? And there is a lack of will to continue to maintain the things. So I think that might be part of it too. Is just like, okay, hey, this this thing is built. All right, on to the next thing. Let's go ahead and build this next thing. And no one's out there to maintain the things. So is it a lack of innovation, or is it a maturing? I think it's there's absolutely some maturing going on, right? And part of this is probably also due to the fact that they split Google out into Alphabet now, and now there's Google and there's all the other companies that are out there too. So maybe Google is, taking a more narrow approach and leaving some of that innovation to the other letters of the alphabet.
Okay.
I'm curious to see how everything shakes out.
This is probably the most technical SATechDad episode we've had so far. I'm just pointing that out. We
is.
all got very excited about Google all of a sudden.
In fact, we haven't even talked about San Antonio yet, so I don't know. I mean, I guess we can talk about San Antonio a little bit. We had a couple of stories in places.
Yeah. Let me talk about something that just actually finished up here about 30 minutes ago. San Antonio was hosting a San Antonio on San Antonio professional soccer match at Toyota Field. And for those of you who don't follow soccer very closely, the U.S. Open Cup is a pretty cool tournament. It's basically the kind of thing where all the pro teams and any amateur team that wants to can play in it. So all the pro teams are automatically in if they choose to involve themselves, and all the top flights. So to get into the minutia very, very briefly, there are some relationships where there's kind of a farm system for the pro teams. Those farm teams don't get a chance to play, so you have to be on the top level of your team. So San Antonio FC is our USL representative in the professional soccer world, and then we have Corinthians FC, that is another professional team that plays in another league, actually at Alamo Stadium on 281 South, or 281 just north of downtown. And so they are two of our professional. They're our two, I guess. There's not two of them. There's not more than two. They're our two professional soccer teams, and they are both involved in the U.S. Open Cup. So it's similar to maybe a golf tournament where it's the U.S. Open, where anybody can play. You have to qualify, but once you qualify, it's not just the pros. It can be kind of anybody out there, and you win and you move forward. Well, we had our first San Antonio Derby, and that is those two San Antonio teams playing each other, and San Antonio FC came up on top. So the newest version of the San Antonio professional soccer team. Behind them are the Spurs. So there's kind of the Spurs Sports Entertainment engine driving that whole conversation. Put in place this team, and this team won the match. So Corinthians FC is out. They will not be participating in the U.S. Open Cup any longer this year, but then San Antonio FC goes on to the next round. They may play another USL team, may play an NASL team or a MLS team, and they may play a bunch of guys who got together and made it through their tournament to qualify. So it's kind of an interesting system that allows kind of the everyman a chance to participate in a pretty big tournament and see what happens. It's the perfect opportunity for a Cinderella story. But the Spurs have really kind of taken the San Antonio pro soccer system to the next level. The Scorpions, the NASL team that we had previously, Gordon Hartman was the owner behind that, had participated in the USL Cup for many years. We've had MLS teams here to play. Dallas came and played a couple years ago. I got to go to that match. But that means that there's going to be another game, and if the Spurs are willing to pay to have that game here versus the team that we're up against, we may have another match in San Antonio for this cup. And it's a tournament that runs in parallel with the other seasons for professional soccer. So as the regular season's going on, there's this side tournament that's also going on that provides just another narrative for the people who are into narrative and not sport so much, to get them involved in what's going on in San Antonio, what's going on in our sports culture, and what's going on to bring San Antonio into more of the pro sports world. We love our Spurs. We're gutted that they didn't get the opportunity to go up against the Warriors,
Grumble,
and that
grumble.
we may or may not have major discrepancies with the way basketball's officiated at that level in those moments.
Grumble,
But
grumble.
I feel like I could be an NBA ref. Like I don't know how fouls work, and I feel like I could be an NBA.
I think if you look at them and you see them, you're supposed to say something. That's
Yeah.
what I've noticed.
Is that how that works?
doesn't
Is
happen.
that's the pro version? Is that how that? Okay.
I think you're supposed to see them and then blow your whistle and call them. But sometimes pieces of that process don't happen. Like you see them, but you don't blow the whistle. So
There's those old school refs that are like street ball refs. Like they're you call your own fouls, otherwise they don't call them for you. That's how that works.
yeah, no blood, no foul. I think is the current name of the game, which I thought was more of a '90s thing. But we're past it. We're sad
Yes,
that our
go.
Spurs are not up against the Warriors right now. But go Spurs, go! And they're also behind this soccer team that is really pressing towards being at the top flight in the United States, which is the MLS. So we're hoping to have continued growth in that space. We're supporting our team. I wasn't able to go support either of the San Antonio teams tonight, but it's pretty cool. And that just happened. We had our first San Antonio derby, which is a soccer term for an in-city rivalry that happens. So
Exciting times.
that's kind of a cool moment in history for us, and exciting times for San Antonio.
Yeah. Hooray, soccer. Football.
Yay, sports.
Yay, sports.
Sports games. So there's a couple of other San Antonio components that we actually threw into Google Spaces and collaborated a bit around talking about. Tech Block is going to be a year old coming up here in June.
Happy birthday,
so
Tech Block.
Yeah, happy birthday. For those of you who don't know about Tech Block, it is very, very broadly a group of people who are technically minded, wanting to bring San Antonio into the future with a tech mindset. So that incorporates a lot of different things: education, transit, and they have another platform.
Yes.
And they have education and urbanity. I think is a very broad and potentially not right on the mark view of that third rail of what Tech Block is about. But they are a group of like-minded people who want to see San Antonio succeed, and they want to see us grow in a healthy and urban-minded and technically minded fashion. And in that, we would become a greater magnet for talent, a greater magnet for tech companies to come and establish themselves and grow here. And so it's something that I believe in and that is exciting to be a part of. And June the 16th is their 1-year anniversary birthday party. So I have already RSVP'd. I'm looking forward to being there. But it's a movement that's really trying to champion San Antonio as a place to build and grow both yourself personally and your businesses. And so it's populated by people who have built businesses here, people who want to build businesses here, people who live here and love San Antonio. And so it's an exciting thing. I know I was able to go to the very first kickoff party, and Alan, you were there too. So how have you seen this whole trend group organization grow and shape San Antonio?
Well, they're celebrating their first year, and they're kind of back where they started. So one of the first reasons that they started this organization is that there were a group of people who were kind of working behind the scenes to try to bring more technological, innovative companies to San Antonio, right? To headquarter here in San Antonio, and so you have you have people that are in California that are working hard and kind of fed up with the premiums on space and everything, and looking for places to relocate. and they're looking at San Antonio, and they said, hey, let's come here to San Antonio and take a look at it. And they get to the airport, and they open up their phone, and they're like, hey, let me get an Uber to pick me up at the airport and bring me to my meeting. Oh wait, there's no Uber here. Now Uber's not the greatest thing in the world, but it is kind of indicative of the technological progress of a city. So they kind of started it with this idea of, hey, let's bring in Uber, and let's bring in Uber to uh, let's try to get Uber back, right? And so they kind of built around that. It's great. They almost immediately got Uber reinstated, and then it turns out that was only for a trial period. So now that trial period is up, and so right now this evening there was the first of several different roundtable discussions about Uber and everything. So keeping these transportation network companies in business. Corey, what have you seen with TechBlock? What are your thoughts there?
So I'm not as familiar with tech block as you guys are. You lucky sons of guns.
It happens during the during your work hours, I think, is the issue there.
Cool, man, because I gotta work, so I don't get to do any of that cool stuff. So I think it's interesting. I think that it's cool that it brings this kind of stuff to San Antonio and to us as a whole. Always excited to see what new products are to come out of it. That's always my big thing, but of course I don't hear about it until the next day. But for the most part, I love it. I'm think that it's a wonderful technological piece for San Antonio, and with everybody's big push on San Antonio being this new big tech mecca, we're doing a lot with all our work and everything. Basically, we're trying to one-up Austin at this point. So I'm hoping that we utilize TechBlock more and it becomes bigger, actually. So like a larger Texas-style incubator, XY incubator. So that's what I'm really hoping for. More venture capitalism and so forth and so on. So we'll see what happens from there. So I will be keeping an eye on it when I'm not working.
Absolutely, and that's one of the things that I think will improve over the coming time is that they need to be more inclusive of everybody in technology. And we have a couple of companies that are 24/7 staff, so it's important to bring everybody in. Anyway, so a lot of good stuff coming from TechBlock and more to come, I'm sure. So everybody check that out. That is in just a couple of weeks, right? When is that? June 16th.
Oh, that's like,
yeah, that's soon.
Wow, it's like less than a month away.
It is. Time is flying. Time is flying. Well, it's almost summertime, and I just wanted to mention one thing that I found recently that I think is just pretty neat. There is a blogger here in San Antonio named Colleen Pence, and she has been running San Antonio Mom Blogs for quite a few years, and so she has a annual. Now, I think there's 3 or 4 years of it at least, annual 100 plus free things to do in San Antonio. And so this is now my, with kids, right? And so it's kind of like here are things you can do with your kids. It's a great way to look at all the different free parks, free historical sites, free camps, library events. Man, there's all the different library events. There's so many different things at the library. Really excited about taking my 5-year-old son to the library to get his. He's 6 now. He's 6. Taking him to the library to get his first library card this summer. So it's just a wonderful listing. Lots of great pictures and lots of very good ideas. So definitely check that out. SanAntonioMomBlogs.com, and there's 4 or 5 years worth of info there.
Yeah, there's tons of stuff there. I love it. They're breaking off to us Alamo City Dad's blog too when the guys are going to take over, which is pretty awesome. But yeah, I've been following them. I've been following them on Twitter since I moved to San Antonio, actually, and they've always got great information and great stuff around town. So I shout out to Alamo City Mom's blog. Those guys are awesome over there.
You mentioned the San Antonio libraries, and we have. I'm a huge proponent of our public libraries. We have an incredible group of people running and operating our libraries, and the library offering is incredible. Biblioteca, we've talked about the online library with all sorts of content, both video and audio and written, ebooks and all sorts of things. But in the physical library realm, I really, really like our main central downtown library. It's got a pretty modern architecture to it, but it's got a very San Antonio color palette. Inside, there's the Chalui Glass Tower, all sorts of different nooks and crannies that you can go and explore. Kind of an unsung hero of the San Antonio library system, when you've got a heavy hitter like the downtown library, is Landa Library, which is near Trinity University. And it's this old mansion that's been renovated and turned into a library. And on the property, they have a nice park. They've actually got two subdivided playgrounds, one for smaller kids and one for larger kids. And it's beautiful for one, but it's a great place to go. Take the kids, get some books, go play, have a picnic. You can spend a good chunk of your day at the Landa Library, and then once you get home, you've got all of these books to work through and read through and share with your kids. And so if you haven't really taken advantage of the San Antonio library system, I encourage you to do so. We have a great system. You don't have to go buy books. I know that it's nice to have it on your shelf, but you can put it on your shelf for the time that you have rented it and read it for free and learn all sorts of things and explore all sorts of worlds and be taken on all sorts of journeys very inexpensively. The only cost to you is forgetting that it was due yesterday, having to go pay a fee or two. Which does happen, but on the whole, it's really incredible that you can have access to such content, and San Antonio does a great job of building out that ecosystem, both physical with real estate and paying attention to the details there, and in the digital realm. So definitely go check out the San Antonio Public Library System. If you haven't been to Landa Library, it's worth seeking out. And if you're driving around the downtown area and you see that large pink, red, orange building, that's the library. Go check it out. It's pretty wonderful.
Yep.
Cool.
Absolutely. All right. Well, let's go ahead and wrap it up. Let's
a lot of events.
It is. There's lots of free stuff to do in San Antonio. All right. Let's go ahead and wrap it up on that note. It's been great hanging out with you guys as usual. Corey, do you have anything to share with us?
Yep. Keep an eye out. I got my first meeting on my new podcast starting next Monday. So keep an eye on that. I'll let you. I'm not. No details. No details yet. Just wait. I'll do the big announcement probably next Wednesday. So
all right.
We'll talk about
Very
that.
excited.
And then check me out at A Starting Point on Twitter. That's where I do my other podcast for all things video games. There's lots of video game news coming up because E3 in California, the Electronics Expo out there, all things video games will be announced. So there's going to be a lot of up-and-coming content coming out there. Yep. And you guys can find me on the Twitters at Mythic Griffin, MythicGriffon, and chat. Let's talk. Let's play games. Let's discuss all things dad. And you guys can see me post pictures of my daughter winning her first place at her first track and field day. She got first place in the long jump, so I'm pretty excited about that.
Congratulations.
Right? I'm like, yes, nailed it. So check me out and we'll chat. How about you guys?
PAX South tickets on sale now.
Bought my tickets already, done, got it. I was
nice.
Like the minute they said that happened, I had a calendar event. I had a Google Calendar event that launched and was like, hey, by the way, these went on sale, and I was like, yes, they did.
Done.
Buy all the things. So I will be going.
Excellent.
There you go, Drew. What do you got going on? Anything you want to share with us?
I will be documenting my trip on the Instagrams and the Twitters. So if you want to check out the Canadian component of the Pacific Northwest, feel free. I am at Drew Cox SA, and that's for both Twitter and Instagram.
And just for clarification, I know you mentioned Canada, so it is the letters S and A, not at Drew Cox SA.
What's that? Oh, what's that about?
I don't know. I'm sorry.
The at symbol DREWCOX
Sorry
about that. I'm sorry. Hey, so guys, I'm doing some improv comedy this weekend. If you guys are in town still, Saturday evening I'll be doing some stuff at Comedy Sports San Antonio. Should be a great family-friendly event. That's I think that's the only thing that I have to to announce there. But hey, it's been another great show. Really fun. As always, I look forward to this every week, and looking forward to doing it again. So on that note, we'll say thanks for watching. Good night, everybody.
Sayonara.
Later.